Welcome into the lounge presented by DraftKings. We're excited to be here. I'm Ryan Mink. This is Garrett Downing, and we are thrilled to get you ready for the Ravens draft pick, hopefully at number 30 tonight. Hopefully we get a pick. All this food and all the beverages and all that stuff, we got to make a pick, right?
It's got to happen.
Exactly. So very excited about this, and we'll kick it off with talking about who we think the Ravens are going to pick, because that's the obvious one, right? And I already got my prediction probably wrong. So I'll let Garrett start it off here.
Yeah, first of all, it's exciting to be here. Thanks for everyone being here. For anyone that's watching at home, we are here at the Ravens draft party. This is a room full of PSL owners here at Reckless Shepherd Brewing, and it's awesome to be here. So you guys fired up? Everyone feeling good? This is great. It's just always fun to come to these events. And so in terms of how I think tonight's going to play out, I think that offensive tackle is the position that I'm looking at. I think that that's the one that stands out to me as the most likely scenario for the Ravens at number 30. In our mock draft, if you haven't listened to it or read it, I have the Ravens taking Arizona offensive tackle Jordan Morgan at pick number 30. And I
heard a clap out there.
Yeah, there you go. Whoever said that, yes. There we go.
There we go.
Yes, we got some Jordan Morgan fans in the house, but I think that offensive tackle is the position that the Ravens are going to go. I think it's the biggest position of need. I think that everything that you hear in terms of the analysis of this draft is that this is a talented class at offensive tackle, and especially in that first round. The challenge is who's going to be there.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the question. Our good friend, former Ravens scout, and you hear on the TVs around here is Daniel Jeremiah, who knows this draft as well as anybody, and he basically says there's kind of a shelf. There's like 8 offensive tackles who would be essentially plug-and-play players for NFL teams, but then after that point, there's a drop-off. Now, that's his opinion, but he talks to teams, of course, and so I don't know if the Ravens share in that opinion. And so the question is whether all 8 of those guys are gone before the Ravens are on the clock. I think that Jordan Morgan will be there, and I think he will be the pick for Baltimore.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm going to run a little experiment here so that I could just be a man of the people and see what you all want. All right, so let me get a big cheer if you want an offensive tackle at 30.
Modest.
They know ball. They know ball, right? All right, let me hear it if you want an edge rusher.
All right.
Smaller, but there's a few. Okay, how about a wide receiver? We got a big one up front here. We got a big one up front. All right, and lastly, a cornerback.
Oh, okay.
That was pretty big.
Okay, I think it's between tackle and corner.
Tackle, corner. All right, so my pick originally was Adonai Mitchell, the wide receiver from Texas. But that was made maybe 2 hours, put in ink maybe 2 hours before the Rashad Bateman extension. So we're going to use the whiteout. We're going to bring out the whiteout for that pick. And now with the latest intel, right, because it's only fair. Yeah. Your final pick should come with the latest intel. You would agree.
I mean, anybody that's listened to the podcast knows that Mink is famous for making about 20 different picks, and then he just, even when he makes those 20 different picks, he also likes to point out, I also like this guy, I also like that guy, it could be this player.
You got to cast a wide net, and then you're right, eventually.
And then he still, even though he throws out 15, 20 players, usually ends up missing. So with that premise, go ahead.
All right, so I'm pivoting to Alabama cornerback Kool-Aid McKinstry. Let's go, Kool-Aid! I mean, an Alabama corner, this just feels like a Ravens pick. Really smooth, great instincts. He's got the size. I think that it's good to get a versatile piece in that secondary. Marlon Humphrey can always play inside, outside. Just versatility, I think, really helps in the secondary. This is a hard-nosed Alabama corner. And I think that'd be a really solid pick that just feels like a Raven to me.
Yeah, look, I think adding good cornerbacks is never a bad thing. And, we've got a key member of the secondary who's going to be joining us here pretty soon. Marcus Williams is going to be here joining us. And so we'll get his take on what he thinks of your idea there of adding Kool-Aid to the mix. But I think if he is the pick, to me, I think it's offensive tackle or cornerback tonight.
Mm-hmm. Those would definitely be the most I think that there's a chance edge rusher Chop Robinson, I think. Darius Robinson out of Missouri, big body guy. Those two feel like they could be Ravens too. I wouldn't rule that out.
I think that you're right. I don't. We probably haven't spent enough time, honestly, talking about the possibility of a pass rusher. I feel like tackle has dominated the conversation, and cornerback has been part of it as well, where pass rusher certainly could be that position. If it is Kool-Aid, this is a guy who's been a starting cornerback at Alabama, really athletic. Part of the reason he could be there for the Ravens at the end of the first round is he was dealing with a foot injury during the pre-draft process and didn't run at the combine. He did run at his pro day, though.
Right.
So they had a pro day. He ran there. It's not like he's on crutches right now or anything. So
he's expected back for camp.
Yeah, that's the expectation. But, you never know exactly what the medical checks are, and that's the teams do. The teams do. So if that ends up being the pick, I would not dislike that pick. I think that would be a really good move.
Look, I think if the need is obviously at tackle, offensive lineman, right? And if the right player falls to 30, who meets where he provides value for the Ravens according to their draft board, they're going to take a tackle, right? If they feel like it's good value. But I don't think the Ravens are going to take a tackle if it doesn't marry with their draft board. They are not going to reach for a tackle at number 30. And so we don't know how they stack these guys up. There's a lot of – nobody knows, right? Who knows? The different teams have different guys stacked different places. So we don't know whether Jordan Morgan is their 25th best prospect or the 20th best prospect or 40th best prospect.
Right.
We don't know. But I don't think that they're going to reach. So if they don't think that Jordan Morgan is good enough for the 30th pick, they're not going to pick him at 30. They're going to take another spot.
Yeah, totally. So we are excited now. We want you guys to give it up for Ravens safety Marcus Williams, who is going to be joining the show. So go ahead and give it up for Marcus Williams here.
All right.
So, man, good to see you.
Thanks for doing this, Marcus. Appreciate it. All right, here you go. Right in the middle, buddy.
Y'all call me out on the spot.
I know, we did. I know.
Didn't say nothing.
So, Marcus, I was just talking about,
Is this on? Here we go. There you go. Sound good?
Off one ear, I'm good.
Okay.
All right, there we go. There's the possibility that the Ravens add another piece to this secondary, right? At pick number 30. Now, of course, they don't need to. I mean, it's already a lockdown second. But they could. They could, right? So Cooper DeJean is a guy. Kool-Aid McKinstry. I don't know if you kind of researched any of these guys, but what are your thoughts in general about the prospect of adding another guy to this secondary?
I mean, it's always great to add good players. You go out there and, it's always the next man up mentality. You never know what's going to happen in the season. So getting new pieces, getting new players and guys that can play. I mean, depth is your best friend in the NFL. So I think it will be good if we add, whatever position that we get in the draft.
Yep.
So everybody's got kind of a different approach. Do you look at these guys? Do you have a preference? Do you know the college players coming in? What's your level of knowledge of these prospects tonight?
Unless they're coming from Utah, I really don't know.
I don't think there's going to be Utah guys. Who's the top Utah guy on the board this year?
I don't know. Y'all should be knowing that.
I don't think it's going to be a pick tonight.
I can't tell you which guy is the most famous guy. I just come here, I just do my job.
Right. Totally.
Can you tell us about your draft story? What were you thinking coming out of the draft? And you should have been a first-round pick. A lot of teams are regretting that.
Yeah.
Marcus was an early second-round pick, and a lot of teams are probably kicking themselves over that one. Just take us through that.
First day, draft day, I'm not knowing what to expect. I just know I worked my butt off to get to where I'm going to get to. Left after my third year in college. And, of course, you think, if you leave, you think you're first, second. But my parents said, if you leave, you might go third, fourth round. I'm like, I'm still leaving. I think I got confidence in myself. I'm going to do it. First round came, I didn't get picked. So it is what it was. I was at home with family. We chilled. Next day I go work out. Same schedule. I just work out the day of the draft, the day after. Second day comes. I'm in the house. Yeah. All of a sudden the whole community's in the street. I get the call. New Orleans Saints calls me. I hang up. She said, "Hey, we're gonna draft you next pick." I hang up. It just erupts. Everybody's screaming. It's crazy. I'm getting punched. My brother's getting his little taps in. Good thing I had a video. I got him back when we were done. But after that, it was an emotional day. It's like one of the best experiences that you can experience, especially getting to this level, because a lot of people dream of it, but I turn my dream into a reality.
Yeah. Can you describe what those emotions are like? Just working so hard to get there and realizing this childhood dream. And it's funny, I heard somebody say, like, it's not that dreams are coming true. Like, the work made those dreams come true. You know what I mean? It's not like some far off thing. You work to get there, and then to see it pay off, and you're in the league. Like, what did that make you feel at the time, and does it still kind of give you chills?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it was only a dream when I was a kid, but when I put it down on paper, it became a goal, and then I started to work towards that. I worked towards my goal every single day. You know, I never did what other kids were doing. I was always focused. I was always had my mind where I wanted to go. No drinking, no smoking, no nothing. You know, never going to parties, anything like that. So, you know, it just when you do stuff like that, you know, only your dream will come true. Your goals will be accomplished, but you just got to put that mindset, and you can accomplish anything.
That's awesome. So, Marcus, how would you describe the vibe of the team right now?
Man, I think everybody's ready. They're ready to get back. They're ready for tonight. They're ready for this week. We also ready for it to be over, so we could just get to work. You know, the season's already coming up quick, and everybody's already, you know, working out, getting right, mentally, physically, emotionally, everything that we need to do to go in for a long season.
Yeah, in talking with guys, some who have re-signed and players who have, you know, come back for the start of the off-season program, like something that I've heard is a number of guys talk about, just feeling like there's unfinished business, and that like starting out this season, you know, it's a long season, and we're here in mid-April, and we're talking about games that are going to be played in September. But you know, it's a long process. But I think that it seems like there's still a feeling of unfinished business. Is that how you feel?
No, I think every season's different. That season's over with. You know, we did what we did. We made it, but now it's a different season. Everybody starts at 0-0. So you go in with that mentality. This team is not the same as last year's team.
Right.
So now we have to create that identity all over again. And then we got to finish the business this year.
How do you go about kind of turning that page? You know, there have been a lot of free agency losses. Geno Stone, a guy in your position group, you know, going to Cincinnati. I mean, Cincinnati,
What's with these guys? You know, Patrick Queen going to the Steelers, Geno going to Cincinnati.
We won't put you on the spot and get, you know, unless you want to say something.
Listen, I say something. I talk to them like every day. I DM every single time they post something like, dang, y'all messed up. Y'all.
I like that.
I'm like, but nah, those are my guys. I'm happy for them. I'm happy for their accomplishments. You know, being able to, you know, get their check and now go out there and ball. You know, play stress free. But they know they got to see Lamar. So they got to see Mark Andrews. They got to see Zay Flowers. They got to see the O-line. They got to see everybody on this offense. And it's going to be a tough task for them. They only seen them in practice. So now they have to see them live.
Yeah. Well, and I think that some of the national pundits and people who are concerned about all the losses the Ravens have had this offseason are kind of forgetting the dogs that we still have, right?
Sure.
And you get more guys healthy like yourself. You get Marlon, you know, guys who missed some games. Like, I mean, we have a star-studded lineup still. Like, do you guys still feel like we're good? Like, we have the pieces here?
Like I said, every year is a new year. Everybody has to show up game one. You can't just assume just because what we did last year that we're going to do the same this year. You got to come in hungry, chip on your shoulder, just like it's year one. That's how I come into every single year. It's like year one, I have something to prove. I still have something to prove. But, yeah, we got guys. I mean, we have guys, and that's why it's always a next man up mentality. No matter if people left, no matter if people stay, everybody has to be ready to be a starter at any given moment.
Right.
So, you know, you're now going into your third season here, and you come out to these events, you get a chance to kind of interact with fans. And, you know, what has been your impression of Baltimore, you know, and the time that you spend here and the fans that, you know, are fans of this team?
Man, it's great. I mean, fans show up, whether it's raining, snowing, whatever it is, they're out there in ponchos or whatever. That's crazy. Well, y'all got it. Look, I guess I'm out there in the helmet too and getting drenched. But at the same time, you know, that's something you hope for out of a fan base. They love the city. We love the city, and that's why we come out here. That's why we do community events. That's why we go out in the community and do community service, because we love to give back, just like they're giving back to us.
What do you think would happen, Marcus, if you texted Eric DeCosta right now and said, Eric, what's the pick?
He'll say it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Okay. All right. So that's basically wait and see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait and see. I know some guys, it's always funny, you know, different players are always trying to get information out of him. Usually Marlon. It's Marlon.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But I don't think, even with that, he keeps everything close to the vest. So I don't know, even if you text him, you're probably not getting any intel.
Nah, you know, he has a formula. He's gonna do what's right for the team. I know he has a good support staff that helps him out, and I feel like how he made this team up last year, you know, he's gonna keep building and make this new team up this year.
Awesome. All right, well, last one for me. I'm putting you on the spot. What I won't ask you the player because you already said that you're not giving players, okay, for tonight. What's the position? What is the position that the Ravens end up picking tonight at number 30?
The position?
Yeah.
A football player.
Oh, a football player, okay. You're safe there. You're safe.
Safe, because everybody football player.
They're not drafting content people like us.
Yeah,
They're not drafting podcasters. That's for sure.
Football player.
Marcus, hey,
Awesome.
thanks a lot, man.
Appreciate it. Yep, thank you very much.
All right,
Sure.
thank you.
Give it up for Marcus Williams.
All right.
Thanks, man.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, so I think that it's always fun to talk with players who are back here in the building, and I enjoy talking with Marcus. As a guy he started his career in New Orleans, and now he's been here, and I think that you get to see just for him going into his third season here now, like he gets to see the atmosphere, and the great fan base that the Ravens have, and I think that it's always something that I've noticed over the years is like when players come here from other teams, there's really an appreciation for the organization, the city, the fan base. Like that is real, and that's something that players who have been elsewhere say it's not like this everywhere else. And so I think it's pretty cool to see that.
Yeah, the culture extends beyond one winning drive, right? In the Under Armour Performance Center. I think the culture is Baltimore, and this city has embraced football for a very long time here. And gosh, this packed room right here is testament to it. I mean, I know it's not just because the pizza's good and the beer's flowing. I mean, it's because y'all are diehard Ravens fans. So who's going to make it to the end is the question.
Everybody, I hope.
You all going to make it to pick 30? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I kind of want to. I wish that we could be here at pick 30s so I could see what it was like.
Yeah.
I mean, they've had a chance to get a few beers in them. At that point, this place is going to be turned up.
There's also a Dunkin' truck out front so people can get coffee because it could be a late night.
It could be a marathon.
Yeah, it could be a marathon like Marcus said. So we are now excited to bring on another guest here to the show. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Ravens linebacker Malik Harrison, who's going to come on and join the show. How we doing? Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Yeah, man. What's up, Malik? How you doing, man?
How you doing?
Good. Here you go. All right.
So we were asking Marcus, if he pays attention to guys, college players who are coming out in the draft. What about you? How closely do you watch this? Do you have anybody who you're hoping is the pick tonight?
No, I don't really watch it. Like I don't really pay attention. I probably just pay attention to the guys at Ohio State.
Right.
The bloodline is deep over there. So.
Yep.
So yeah, that's what I'm.
Yeah.
I'll give you the answer. It's going to be Marvin Harrison Jr. All right. Give Marvin Harrison Jr. at 30.
Yeah.
It's like, a good prospect always falls into the Ravens
That'd be
lap.
nice. I'd take that.
He goes all the way from like number 4 to 30.
You can
I
dream.
wish that.
I'm down.
We can dream. So how's the offseason been for you?
It's been good. I've been actually training out here in Columbia, right down the street. 360 Fit. So I've been here most of the times. And I love it out here.
Yeah, that's great. And for you, how excited are you to come back?
I'm excited. When I hit the free agent market, I was like, there's no other place I want to go for real, because I had built a foundation here in Baltimore, so why not come back?
Yeah, that's it. What was kind of walk us through that process, just because we haven't talked to you since that time when you re-signed. Is it basically just what you said? Like you felt like this was going to be the place all along?
Yeah, and then it was just how quick, the Ravens had offered me. It was real quick, so I was like, why not? Why wait, if I got something good over here.
Good.
Now, did you text Geno Stone and PQ?
I was calling them. I was calling them. They was keeping me updated with their, whole little thing. I'm happy for them. They deserve what they, got, but it sucks for them to go.
Yeah.
Well, it sucks for them to go to where they went to. Really.
But hey, you can't determine where you go.
Yeah.
Well, only a little bit.
Unless you
That's all right.
to a certain extent.
But just talk about the foundation you built here in Baltimore and why it feels special to you and why it was just a given that you wanted to stay.
feel like, Baltimore is just a family base. I've been in Columbus, Ohio, all, through, high school, college. I just, this really, another place that other than living in Columbus, it's the only place that I ever live. And, I've built so many relationships here, and then, I've just loved the Ravens. The organization is, top notch.
Yeah. Well, I think it's really cool to see your career also, the way you've grown as a player and becoming a really versatile linebacker, really a special teams anchor, and just a hammer in that regard. And talk about, kind of, you have played a little, last year you played a little bit more on the edge and kind of the edge run stuffer and just standing up tight ends and standing up some tackles and all that. Talk about how you've kind of evolved in your career.
I can play Mike, Will, or Sam, like I said, coming into college, I told them guys, you can just put me into, wherever you want me to play. I always was that guy that you can just move around anywhere. I can play any of those positions.
Yeah. And now with PQ leaving, obviously a lot of focus goes to Trenton Simpson, the young buck. And
the
going
young buck is going to be something special. He's going to be something special.
What makes you say that?
He showed flashes last year, and I think once he, get comfortable and, really deep dive into the playbook, he's going to be crazy.
Right. Nice.
So it's always fun. We were asking Marcus too when he was just on about his draft story. So what's your recollection, the memories that you have when you got drafted?
It was COVID year.
Yep.
So I had just rented out a Airbnb, and I had a couple family friends come over, and we just was sitting there day two just waiting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually just today is actually the day I got drafted 4 years ago.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
So when you see those memories, whatever pop up on Instagram or whatever it is, like what comes to your mind when you think back to that day?
Just blessed, just blessed to be in that position that I was 4 years ago. I always wanted to, be in the NFL since I was young. I probably didn't realize that I could be until maybe my senior year of college. So, yeah, that was crazy, just to be able to, fulfill my dreams.
It's awesome.
And take us through the draft call. So it was EDC from his house.
So it's
this COVID year.
I think it was EDC, then it was Hardball, then it was Wink at the time, then it was who else called me? I think Chris called me. Then Mike called me. Then it's just, the whole list just went down.
I think you talked to us on this. Yeah.
Is your head just like spinning at that? You don't even know who you're talking to.
Oh, nah, the whole
Are you even hearing the words they're saying?
I couldn't really hear because my family was just yelling. I'm like, y'all gotta chill.
Yeah. And what were your first thoughts when you heard it was Ravens? Like, were you expecting it to be the Ravens?
No, I actually didn't. The whole draft process, I didn't even think that the Ravens was even. And then especially when they had got PQ in the front, I was like, oh yeah, Ravens is off the thing. Then once they called me, I was like, oh, hey, I guess I'm going to Baltimore.
All right. I want to say that you or I predicted that pick. One of us hit that.
Yeah, we had to go back and look at the archives.
All right, I'm pulling this up.
We
ask him a couple questions because if I did this, I want the credit for it.
Exactly.
I'm pulling it up right now.
We always do a full 7-round mock, and we always, it's a friendly wager every year on who ends up getting more picks right. So how would you describe the vibe of the team right now?
I don't see nothing falling off. I don't see no changes for real. I mean, we still as one for real.
Yeah. And this defense last year was as good, as good as it gets in the league. And I think, there's questions now. You lose some players, and defensive coordinator change and all that. But one thing that you've been coached by Zach Orr, and you know what he is as a coach and as a leader. Let everyone know what Zach Orr is and what he's going to bring as the DC for this team.
Zach just a passionate guy. He loves football. He eats, sleeps, dreams about football. And he's gonna get on you, and it's just like a big brother for real. But he's stepping into a bigger role. So Zach I love him. He was there from the start for me. So Zach got the utmost respect for me, and I can't wait for this year.
That's awesome.
Well, so I looked it up. If it was me, I would have been talking a lot about it, but we'll just let it slide.
It was me.
I let it slide.
I predicted it?
I
predicted it, yes. You know, I
man, that's
actually, in
crazy.
my 7-round mock this year, I have another Ohio State linebacker,
You do?
Steele Chambers.
Still, okay.
I had,
Steele
like,
is
as a
cra-
day
that's
3
crazy.
guy.
That's crazy because
Yeah.
Still started off as a running back.
Right,
That is
which
good.
you actually were running back in high school too, right? No?
Nah,
Quarterback.
I played
Quarterback.
Yep,
Okay, okay.
Well, Garrett's always got to take a bucket.
Always got to take a bucket. I'm a Columbus guy too. Malik and I grew up, about 15 minutes from each other.
Yeah.
And so I always got to take a Buckeye. So I got Steele this year. So he started as running back. So you guys weren't even
Nah, we I probably had a year or two.
Okay.
With him. Yeah,
Okay.
a year or two.
cool.
Was Marvin Harrison? What was he like? Just.
Oh, I wasn't there when.
Oh, okay, you didn't get a taste of
nah,
Marvin.
I think I left the year that he came in.
I got you. I mean, yeah, he's something special.
Nah, he is definitely.
He's something special. But Malik, just tell us what should we expect from this defense this upcoming season?
I don't, very aggressive. I feel like, this year is going to be very aggressive. I mean, I don't feel like it's going to be that much changes. I think we're just going to be sharpening up, the kinks that we had last year, and it's going to be even better this year.
And from you personally, like what's kind of on the horizon for you? What do you want to accomplish this year? Just keep thumping dudes?
Yeah, just anywhere, just anywhere that they want me to play, I'll play. I'll do anything. I'll give my best.
Yeah. Hey, this sounds good. Malik's always one of these guys, by the way, that like when he walks into a room, you're like, oh my God, this is a football player. Like this man, and when you shake his hand, like if you get a chance out there to take a photo with him and shake his hand, it's like an offensive tackle hand. It's kind of crazy. So Malik, hey man, you're gonna be doing big things this year as always. Thanks for joining
I
us,
appreciate it, man. Thank you
Appreciate
so
it.
much. Enjoy it. Give it up for
All right.
Malik Harrison. Awesome, man. Thanks. And so we want everyone to know, as we just alluded to, if you want to get pictures with Malik and Marcus, you are able to do that outside. They're going to be taking photos with fans, so you can do that outside. We don't want to just tell everybody to leave the podcast, but but I get it, So if you guys want to go get pictures with them, they are going to be outside doing that. So really enjoy the conversation with them, and it's look, both guys. I think the one thing that I would say on both of them. And this is a consistent theme that I've seen with every player on this defense that we've talked to this offseason. There really is confidence in this defense. Like, I know that some people have concern given all the changes, but the players and the coaches, they have a real sense of confidence about how good this defense is going to be.
I mean, there's no doubt. With re-signing Justin Matabike, you still have all pros at all three levels of this defense.
Mm-hmm.
The defensive line is totally returning. All of them are back. So the defensive line is still going to be really stacked. At linebacker, you still have Roquan Smith. You have Odafe Owe, a really ascending player. David Ajabo comes back healthy. I think they're going to add to their outside linebacker core in this draft. Tavius Robinson, like don't forget about him. He got a lot of valuable reps as a rookie. So you're really good at linebacker. Malik, obviously. And then in the secondary still, Kyle Hamilton, Marcus coming back healthy, hopefully playing a full season. At corner, you got Brandon Stevens who really emerged. You got to have Marlowe. So there's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of dogs still on this defense. And so I'm not really worried about it. Yeah, Patrick Queen is a great player. He's an awesome player. Geno Stone had a great season, great player. But I think that the Ravens have had a lot of great players who have walked out those doors, unfortunately, in free agency because that's just how it works. That's the nature of the salary cap. You draft well, which the Ravens have drafted better than any team in the league, more all-pros since 1996 than any team in the league. Mm-hmm. And when you do that, you lose some players because you can't afford to bring them all back.
Yeah,
so
totally.
They've rebounded and stayed strong through the years, and I expect that once again.
And I think that the point you make is good, that you basically, like, the cupboard's not bare, and so you have players who can step in who are established vets, but then you also have opportunities for for Trenton Simpson, who I think there's a ton of confidence, as Malik just said. Like, he's something special. Like, he's going to be a really good player. And Roquan Smith said the same thing when he talked with the media a couple of weeks ago. Like, there's real belief in Trenton being a dynamic player in his first, year as a starter.
Yep.
And I think that you can look at that all throughout this team and especially on this defense. And so, I feel really good about this defense. I think Zach Orr, I love Zach as a player. I've loved him as a coach. It's been awesome to see his rise. Now the youngest DC, second youngest DC?
Yeah, second youngest.
Second youngest DC in the league. But he has a respect of the players. You can tell.
He's a really sharp guy, really hard worker. Yeah, Zach Orr, really passionate. I mean, you just feel it emanating from him.
Yeah.
And he was Mike McDonald's right-hand man. I mean,
Yeah.
Mike McDonald tried to hire him.
Yeah.
That tells you something about how he feels about Zach Orr and the coach that he is.
Yeah.
And the coordinator that he'll be,
Yeah.
right? I mean, Mike McDonald wanted him to be his coordinator out in Seattle, and Zach stayed. So that, I think, alone says a lot about what the job that he will do this year.
Yeah. So we also just want to continue talking about the draft and just break down how things could go tonight. So as this thing is playing out, it's 7:59 right now, so it's officially going to be getting underway here in a matter of a few minutes.
It's about when Roger starts getting booed.
Yeah, exactly. This is about the time when Roger Goodell starts getting booed. But the things that I'm going to be watching, and I'm curious to hear from you too. One is the quarterbacks. How many quarterbacks end up going early in the first round? Now, the first 3 picks are going to be quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Then it's kind of a guessing game, but you really have the potential to have as many as 6 quarterbacks in the first round.
Yeah, I think 6 is the magic number. And so obviously the Ravens not needing a quarterback, you root for as many quarterbacks as you can get before the Ravens are on the clock, because that just pushes players at potential positions of need or areas of need down to Baltimore. So, the 3 quarterbacks that are obviously going to go. You have number 1 pick, Caleb Williams. That's a given. Just write it in right now. Jaden Daniels, it looks like, is going to go number 2 to Washington. And then it looks like Drake May. All the reports are that the New England Patriots are not moving out of 3. They're probably going to take Drake May. Now the question becomes, who comes up for J.J. McCarthy, or do they need to come up? I expect that somebody, the Vikings, could come up. There's a lot of smoke about the Giants potentially taking him. I think J.J. McCarthy's going to go in the top 10. I'd be shocked, and I bet he's going to go in the top 5. Now the question becomes Michael Penix Jr. and Bo Nix. And there's a lot of late kind of smoke around Michael Penix Jr., the possibility of the Raiders taking him. And a team, even the Giants, I'm seeing reports that the Giants feel good enough that maybe they could take him, which that would be a surprise. But I think that Michael Penix Jr. is going to go. I think he's going to go. The Broncos and Bo Nix have been linked for a long time in the pre-draft process. I think the Broncos could trade back and still take Bo Nix. Anyway, if you're a Ravens fan, you're rooting for quarterbacks to be taken.
Yeah, when you see quarterback go on the bottom ticker here, just applaud that. That's exciting. That's what you want to see.
Yep.
And then, I talked about the tackles at the outset. That's something to watch. It's like the opposite. You see a tackle go off the board and you groan.
Exactly.
And
you're going to see a lot of them, though, so just, be patient. A lot are going to be drafted.
One player that I think is interesting who we really haven't spent much time talking about is Troy Fontanu.
Yeah.
And he is a tackle who I think pretty much has been considered a top 15, maybe at worst a top 20 pick. Mm-hmm. And it seems like this week there's been a little bit of buzz, like, could he fall?
The latest reports on Troy Fontanu, the big versatile, people say, he can be taken or play at any position, I should say. And so just a really talented guy. And the latest report is that he might have kind of been flagged for a knee issue that's not an issue now, but could impact the longevity of his career.
Yeah. Who knows if that's true?
The same stuff was said about Miles Jack, and he had a pretty long career.
Uh-huh.
Who knows if that's smoke or if that's true?
Yeah.
Whatever it is, if that pushed him to 30, I wouldn't hate that at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think that he's a great player. If he's there, I think that could. I mean, I would be shocked if he is, but it just seems like there's a little bit of buzz about the possibility of him potentially falling. He's a guy that didn't seem like he was even in the mix, and now could be. Yeah. I want to mention just once again for everybody here, there you can head outside and get pictures with the guys who are here, Marcus Williams, Malik Harrison. So don't waste your time. Don't miss the opportunity to do that. So go ahead and make sure you get your pictures with them, meet them, and they're great guys. We'll be fired up to meet Ravens fans when you're all here. So, but in terms of another point to watch, I think receiver is. I don't think the Ravens are going to take a first-round receiver. I know you had Adonai Mitchell, but
that was pre.
I know. I'm saying, like, now that the Rashad Bateman is signed to a 3-year extension, I don't think receiver's going to go. No. But I think there's going to be a bunch of receivers that fly off the board. And so then if there's like a bunch of receivers who go early, then that again pushes the tackle to the Ravens. That pushes a cornerback to the Ravens or a pass rusher. So like those receivers often go. And so there's a bunch of them that could be first-round picks.
Yeah.
3 of them are going to probably go in the top 10, and you might have in the top 25 6 of them. I think that potential exists. So, you may have a situation where receivers start flying off the board, and then that just gets better tackles who are there to the Ravens.
Yeah, totally. And let's be clear, I think the Ravens are going to draft a wide receiver. I just don't think it's going to happen in the first round. Could it happen in the second? I wouldn't rule that possibility out.
Yeah.
I think it would probably be unlikely. But I think once you get to the third round and on, fair game. And there's a lot of really good wide receivers once you get into that even late day 2, early day 3. I think that's kind of the sweet spot for receiver for the Ravens.
Yeah, they will draft a receiver at some point.
For sure.
I'm with you 100% on that. They're going to draft multiple offensive linemen in this draft. Eric DeCosta said they're probably going to draft a running back. I could also see them drafting a linebacker late. I talked to Malik about that.
Yep.
And they're going to draft a cornerback. They've got 9 picks right now. The other possibility is always trades. You can move up, you can move back. They've got 9 picks right now. Eric DeCosta made the point during the pre-draft press conference that this draft class overall is a little bit weaker in comparison to previous years, and probably a little bit weaker in terms of the number of draftable players, overall draftable players. Not as many of them in this class as there likely will be next year.
See, I think that applies to the fact that they have 2 7th-round picks. And so I think that they have just fewer guys when you get to round 6 and 7 that they really love. Right, because the pool is shallower. I think that refers more to the fact that they'd like to take those 7th-round picks and turn them into 2024 6th-round picks.
Yeah.
I don't know that it necessarily means that they want to be parting ways with 3rd and 4th-round picks.
Mm-hmm.
Eric DeCosta said he'd like to add more picks in a certain range.
Yeah.
I kind of take that to mean 2nd, 3rd round, maybe early 4th. Like they added the Morgan Moses pick. That's an early 4th-round pick. So I don't – there's a lot of buzz about teams wanting to move up. Some of those teams could be the Eagles. They're a prime candidate to move up. I think that Washington's going to move up from the beginning of the 2nd round into the 1st round, potentially to take a tackle. There's going to be a number of teams, I think, that are looking to move up to take some of those offensive tackle studs that they really want. And once those guys start flying off the board, I expect that we're going to see a lot of trade activity tonight. I do not think that the Ravens are going to probably be one of those teams. I'm not going to rule it out, but I think to get in, unless one of Amarius Mims were to get into the mid-20s, which I don't think is going to happen if teams are trading up to get their guys, then I don't think the Ravens are going to make a sizable jump to move up in the draft and get a tackle.
Yeah, I don't think I would be very surprised if they all of a sudden move up 10 picks. That would surprise me. I don't think that's not generally how they've done business.
I mean, the teams in the 20s that could definitely take a tackle. I mean, you're looking at the Steelers at 20, could absolutely take one. Dolphins at 21, Eagles at 22, Cowboys 24, Packers at 25. So the Ravens are going to be sweating it out in the 20s.
Yeah.
Right? And now if you get through that, or you get through the first wave, maybe you try to move up to get ahead of Washington, right? To make sure that you beat out Washington and they don't jump the Ravens to get a tackle. If there's one guy left on the board from their top cluster.
Yeah, and the cluster of guys who are most commonly mocked to the Ravens, you're talking about Amarius Mims out of Georgia, Tyler Guyton out of Oklahoma. Both those guys are massive guys who could play right or left tackle. Jordan Morgan, of course.
Don't know where he is in that kind of ranking.
Right.
Maybe he is.
He might be right there in that mix. And so, all of a sudden, if
Graham Barton from Duke.
Graham Barton from Duke, you can play multiple positions. But if you're there and all of a sudden you're right, if you got one of those guys left and it's at 25, they might say, we're going to get one of these guys, we have to move up. Or they just sit tight and they say, you know what? We'll just take there's Nate Wiggins from Clemson, a corner who's a really talented player. Kool-Aid McKinstry is still there, and they say, you know what? Let's just sit back and we'll get a really good corner. And then that would be a very Ravens move.
Yeah. The more I talk through this, the more I do think if you get through the Packers at 25 and you have one guy left, you move to 26.
Yeah.
All right. So Roger Goodell is walking on the stage. I'm seeing clapping. I'm waiting for the booing. Did we already get the booing?
I think the booing already happened.
The booing already happened.
Yeah, so there was the booing as soon as
it's a draft tradition.
Yeah, exactly. He embraces it now.
He does.
He embraces.
He's kind of like the heel. He kind of plays to the boos.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the pro wrestling heel.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But just going back to my point about the defensive back piece of it. Like, it would be very classic Ravens if we spent all this time talking tackle and we talk receiver, especially earlier in this process, and then the Alabama corner falls, or a really talented corner like Nate Wiggins falls, and then you can see it. It's Mel Kiper. Okay, of course the Ravens get this cornerback who's top 15 on my board. Like, you can just see that conversation take place on draft night if the board falls in that direction.
The interesting thing about cornerback, and Marcus kind of alluded to it, he's like, more depth and more competition is always a good thing. But when you look at the 2024 Ravens, they have their starting corners.
Yeah. It's not a need. It's not
an immediate need.
Yeah.
You have Marlon Humphrey. You have Brandon Stevens, right? I mean, they even brought back Arthur Millette in the slot. Kyle Hamilton's still going to play in the slot. Like, so the interesting thing about taking a corner in the first round is that there's not an obvious lane for him right away to be a starter. Now, Jimmy Smith wasn't a starter right away.
Yeah.
And he turned out to be a pretty darn valuable piece of this team who played a long time in his whole career. In Baltimore, right? So, like, that doesn't mean that that's not a good, even if they don't start right away, that it's not a good first-round pick.
Yeah.
Right? But ideally, you look at Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers was pretty much a starter from week one, from the start, right? I mean, you want it, usually you think of a first-round pick has a more obvious lane to big-time playing time as a rookie.
Well, the last time they took an Alabama cornerback in the first round, they already had their starting quarterbacks in place.
Yeah.
They had Brandon Carr, they had Jimmy Smith at the time. And Marlon said at the time, why did they draft? Like, he said, like, I was kind of thinking, like, why am I the pick? And so
Brandon Carr was near the end of his career.
He was,
Marlon Humphrey and Brandon Stevens aren't in the same position.
But Brandon Stevens is going into the last year of his contract.
That's correct.
So it's just like, I think that the Ravens will take the best available player. Like, they didn't have a need at safety 2 years ago when they drafted Kyle Hamilton, and he's turned out to be one of the best defensive players in football. Like,
exactly
you take the best player who's available there, and if all of a sudden the run, I just think the Ravens are actually, I think they're in a good spot. Like, I would love it if it's a tackle that would fill the immediate need, and you could get your, potential day one starter at one of your three open spots along the offensive line. But, like, if they all get picked, then I don't think they're going to sweat it, and they can just say, all right, fine, we'll address we've got some guys, on campus already who we like. We can address that later in the draft, and then we can also go with we can go with a great defensive player and just add another top-notch player to the mix. I just don't think they're going to force it. That's not how they've done things, and I don't think that DeCosta is going to do that.
Right. I'll give you what the board is going to look like at number 30 if the tackles are gone. Okay. So I think the guys that will be there will be Kool-Aid McKinstry or Nate Wiggins. One of those two, I think, will be there. I think Darius Robinson is going to be there, right? And then I think you're looking now. It depends. Jordan Morgan, I think, could be there.
Yeah.
Kingsley Swamatia is another tackle. Patrick Paul is another tackle. Those guys are going to be there. Chop Robinson, I doubt it. But I think that's probably what you're looking for. You're looking at a mixture of a corner between Nate Wiggins and Kool-Aid McKinstry. You're looking at Darius Robinson and probably Jordan Morgan. That's what I expect the Ravens are going to be looking at.
And you might have receivers there too. But
and receivers, right. You could have
Adonai
Mitchell. You
could have
Xavier Worthy. Exactly. So,
which I would be surprised. I would be very surprised if they end up taking a receiver in the first round. But, as this thing is off and running here, as we're kind of keeping an eye on it, we're going to wrap things up here on our end. But we appreciate everyone being here. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you everyone for being here. If you're watching at home, thank you so much.
Best.
And enjoy the night. Go Ravens. Have fun. Thank you so much.